From North to South America we go, knowing that the rich has already been able to clinch the title this season. But don't let that deceive you from the fact that Claridge is hungry as ever, and so are his competitors, who are still tightly fighting for the second place in the standings. Interlagos, deeply knit into the history of F1 Championship deciders, it is a track known for the drama it always generates. So buckle up, get some popcorn, and join us today as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Grand Prix Legend Series live here on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing eSports Network. The crew to give you all these stats and storylines today will be Ryan Walker, joining myself, Stefan Schlacher. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. The Autódromo José Carlos Pache, or better known as simply the Autódromo Interlagos, has only been visited by the Lotus 49 on the old 4.9 mile long track. So, to get you accustomed to the challenges they will face today, let's head trackside with GSRC's own track guide.
Welcome to Autódromo's José Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its two layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of two circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those two corners. But from Ferradura until Junção, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo.
Joe Peak taking you a step closer to what really makes this track's history run. Ryan, what else can you add to what Joe just told us about?
So some basic information about this fantastic Interlagos track. It is 2.7 miles in length, and it is located in Sao Paulo, and has 15 turns. And just a brief history about the track as well. It's run a whole host of series in the past, the World Endurance Championship, and also the FIA GT1 Championship, which ran a few years ago, and it's ran some. Actually, it's also run the Brazilian Stock Car Series as well, and the list goes on. Anything that's that takes place has taken place on this track, and looking forward to this race today.
Looking forward very much will also be your championship winner this season, Mick, who obviously is still in the lead of the F1 Drivers' Championship. A full 400 points. That's a maximum points you can get thus far with all the drop weeks accounted. Peter Miko's second place. Look at that difference. 106 points between Claridge and Mikos. And then it gets really tight. That's what I was talking about earlier in the go up to this race. Nicola Kochi, 123 points behind. Then we have Michel Dudino, just 9 points behind that, or rather 11 points behind that. And then over Train Grid, also not too far off. So these guys are still extremely tightly fighting for that third place at least. But also Mikos not too far away. And the problem with Mikos is he only has 18 points in the bag. So he really has to be careful to not run into any troubles in these last rounds. Ryan, I think in the F2 Championship we can also start to see a little bit clearer who is going to be the top dog of that season.
Yeah, at the moment it's still real close at the moment, but Eric Lucko from Germany has pretty much been the foreman this season, leading the F2 Championship with 149 points. But David Rossi has been pretty much just trying to keep in touch with him, but is slowly dropping back. And then Brennan Cleveland rounds out the top three, and then Italy's Alessandro Parigi sits in fourth, and rounding out the top five is Andrew from the United States.
Keep in touch with him, but is
Slowly dropping back.
the field
And
in
then
the
Brennan
F2
Cleveland
Championship
rounds out the
is
top three,
slowly spreading out.
and then
Italy's
Lucco has a
Alessandro
good result
Parigi.
today, and also in the last round next week, rather, he should, by the looks of it, wrap up this championship.
Not as tight as the F1 Championship standings. In the top three, we also have the Nations Cup, and as you would expect, the United Kingdom is leading that one right now with 432 points to their name. Obviously, Michael is not the only driver from the United Kingdom, so that's why there are 32 extra points on this sheet. United States right now second place, but then France already about 30 points behind, so they have to be careful to not completely lose track of the US. And then once again, a little bit of a drop back to Italy, but they also are only 20 points ahead of Slovakia. So that might still get very interesting for that fourth place and for the second place in this standing. Though, Ryan, right now we're pretty much the pre-roll for the Porsche iRacing Cup, so why don't you give our new viewers a little bit of a rundown how this race will shape it out?
So a bit of information about the series for anyone that's tuning in for the first time, or is wondering how this series is run. This is round 11 of 12, and the race length for today will be 22 laps. And the setup, as always, is open. So anything you want to change, you are free to do so. Anything like campers, ride height, tire pressures, anything like that, you can do that. And the incidence, as always, is 17x, and that will equal a penalty. And if you get to 25x or over, that will be a disqualification from the race. So, yeah, I think some drivers need to be wary of that. But also on the other hand, it's Interlagos. It's not as strict with track limits, so you can kind of get away with it.
Getting away with it right now is actually Mikolaj as well. He's about a tenth ahead of Michel Durian, who just finished his second lap. But as you can see, Mikolaj, he is now going up the very steep hill to the last turn. To see those boxes, if I remember correctly, the name of that last turn is as Mikolaj makes his way up the start-finish straight. Over the line he goes with a 30.480, puts him on 10th on Michel Durian to separate himself from second place by about 2/10. I think in the top 5 we have already seen all the laps completed. Yes, very much. No, except for Rob Olenek, who still has to put in his second lap. He's sitting right now about 5/10 behind Mick Lerch. Going to be interesting to see what he is able to do as we're looking at Sebastian Pix here. He is making his way now through the last few turns as we switch back to Rob Olenek. There we have him. As we saw the number 19 of Telmo Amaral quickly spin out, who's right now in 24th place. Let's see how Robolinik makes Zhenzhou happen. Very nicely indeed. A little bit of slideways going through this last left-hander. Keeps it all together, keeps the foot in. Most importantly, let's see if he's able to improve on his 30.9. We're looking for a 30.4 if he wants to take the lead. And he puts in the exact same time.
Yep, Nicola Coach.
1,000th of a second, Ryan.
Yeah, it was just good to see that as well. And Nicola Coach came over the line, and Owe Trengrade is pulling up at the start finish as well. But Terry Worth coming up as well. They currently 18th. Can he improve? Though it doesn't look like it.
I think he already was done anyway. Andrew Eng just went over the line with his lap. That didn't very go well, except for the jump that Miklaj just showed off rather. Miklaj jumping his way into his pit stall. Very much worked out for him. A little bit of nose damage, so I'm going to give him about an 8.5 of 10 there. Has to still work a little bit on his landings. think we are pretty much done with everybody putting in their lap time. So a quick reminder that you're watching this broadcast live on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure to like and especially subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You know if you haven't, because that button right below this broadcast will still be extremely bright red and very much so tempting to press. As the last few seconds of this qualifying rundown, we can pretty much confirm that Mick Clerch is going to take the pole position here with a 1 minute 30.480, about 2/10 ahead of Michel Dudino, who is going to line up in second place. That will be, if I remember correctly, the left side of the grid here at Interlagos. Overturning grid will be lining up in third place with Nicola Kochi starting in fourth. Being in the third row of the grid will be Roman Pawlowski and Rob Olenek. Peter Mikus will be lining up in 7th place, with Rafael Dorado in 8th, André Schumacher in 9th place, and last but not least, inside the top 10 is Alessandro Parisi.
Starting in 11th is Joey Aurelia, 12th is Sebastian Tixier, 13th is Bill Tyler with Gary T on 14th. Marco Kika starts in 15th with Eric Loco currently leading the F2 Championship in 16th. 17th is Chris Marikami, Terry Worth is in 18th, Pekka Risto is in 19th, and rounding out the 20 is Andrew Eng.
Trent Boss will be one of the last few cars on the grid. That's 21st, Dave Cohen 22nd, Donald Peake will be lining up in 23rd, Thelma Morale is 24th. He's also the last car to put in a qualifying time, and Robert Reynolds will be lining up in 25th and last. One of the most interesting things here at Interlagos is that the pole position is actually on the right side, so a little bit of a longer run into turn 1. So Michel Dudino, depending on how good his start will be, quite an uphill start here at Interlagos. We might see him challenge Mick Clerch for that first position. Still missing one more car there on the right side of your screen. That is, let's see, who is that? I think they just joined, very much so. I think it was Marco Kika that was still missing, as the engines are harmonizing for the green flag. Green flag is out, and it was actually a good start from Michel Tournay on the first few meters. Mick Clerch not so good, he might be challenged into turn 1, but Michel Tournay a little bit gingerly on the brakes, but he makes it actually side by side now through turn number 2. He's the inside for turn number 3. Curva do Sol, let's see if Dudillon is able to take that position away. That would be huge for this race, but it seems like the momentum carried out by Mick Clerch. He goes into first place yet again, but Michel Dudillon already left side for him, tries to scare Mick Clerch into a mistake. He very much does so, and he takes over first place from Mick Clerch.
Yep. There's issues further back in the pack, but he has Dudillon up the inside of Claridge and manages to take the lead.
Looks like it was Sebastian Tixier and Robert Reynolds that were involved in that, as now Mick Clerch under pressure from Ovid Trengerade, who is going to take out that position for them. It's still Mick Clerch holding on to second place. A little bit of a slow start from Mick Clerch, not something we're very used to. So it seems like he's a little bit struggling right now with the temperatures. We're seeing 37 degrees Celsius on the track. So not too hot, but also not too cold. After all, we are in Interlagos, Brazil. So expected to have higher temperatures on the track than on other tracks. Michel Dudillon trying to break the draft going into turn 1. And here comes Mick Clerch with another mistake on the brakes. And he takes out Michel Dudillon. That was really close, only an inch between those two. Both keep their car clean though, and most importantly, still going into the right direction.
But on the other hand, Mick Claridge is under pressure from Ovi Trengrade now after that mistake, and we know how quick Ovi can be, but the way he likes to set the car up. As Claridge makes another mistake.
Most definitely struggling with the temperatures. We're seeing maybe also a little bit not liking the grip. Seems like quite a green track right now. So So Mikkelaj most definitely struggling and using up his tires, producing a little bit too much heat for the likings of him. As they head into Pico do Pato for the second time of this race. Mergulho, one of the most difficult turns on this track, but nothing compared to Subida dos Boxes, as these cars are sideways going past at 220 kilometers an hour through this left-hand turn. You can see how much they are struggling right there. You were able to see the wobbles from Mikkelaj yet again through that turn. And since this action is most definitely calming down a little bit, as now we see Nicola Kochi and Ron Paslowski fighting for 4th position. Let's actually see if something is happening from that. No, also ahead, Mikkelaj is getting a little bit closer to Michel Dudinot. Also nothing is happening there. Let's actually have replay of the first lap incident that we saw between Robert Reynolds and I think it was Sebastian Tixier through the Cedos Lagos. Going on to replay right now. Ryan, talk us through that.
So just look at the replay to see what happened to Tixier, and I think, I'm guessing anyway, it looks like he might have just got tagged by someone. But he did, actually, he started losing it by himself, and just he got tagged around, and yeah, he was just a passenger on that incident. Maybe just got caught out by the tyres not having the temperature or grip.
Yeah, most definitely looked quite like the driver error right there. A little bit too eager probably on the throttle, and that's all it needed. Mikkelaj seems to have found himself right now. He's getting closer and closer to the back of Michel Dudinot. Now only 2/10 between them and closing. Look at the draft. Mikkelaj is able to get through that left-hander, but he has to go around the long way, and that's not going to work out for him. Door gets shut by Michel Dudinot, and here now also comes over Traingrid. He might actually get a good run through here. Let's see what Kufrosol holds out for these guys. Already on lap 4 of this 22-lap race. The laps are ticking by very fast.
Indeed, as the top 3 are still together, but the top 3 as well are starting to slightly pull away from the rest of the pack behind, and at the moment it seems to be Mick seems to be getting his head together and closing the gap back down to Michel, and this he can't really do anything about it. He can't get by Michel at the moment, and Michel on the other hand is doing a great defensive job at the moment.
Yeah, we have been talking behind the scenes about Interlagos in the Lotus 49, and we have noted that it is extremely hard at Interlagos to really facilitate a pass even into turn 1. As we're able to see with Mikkelaj, it's so easy to defend that inside, because especially through Subida dos Boxes, you just have to pretty much use all the track available. You have to turn in from quite far right, as you can see right now. Look at how far they're going to the right side. You will never see F1 car in real life go that far out to right side to turn in for this last left-hander, and that just makes it's so much more difficult to get past into turn 1, because it throws you right into the inside then of the pit entrance. And thus Michel Dudinot continues to be in first place. We also have a second pack forming, not too far behind third place over Traingrid. This one is being led by Roman Paslowski, Nicola Kochi and Robolinik, both in the draft of the German man.
Yep, and it's a bit unusual.
Sorry, I had a mistake from Michel Dudinot. Mikkelaj now to the very back of the Frenchman. Maybe something happening there into Ferradura. Well, no, it seems like Mikkelaj not able to really do something with that mistake.
And riding on board with Mick as well. He's a lot closer than he has been before, and like I mentioned, Mick's got it together now after the first couple of laps, and it seems to be that Michel's struggling now on the other hand, and he looks to be slightly rattled, but also that run up the hill and onto the home straight, the slipstream can definitely help, but with the Lotus 49, I would say it doesn't really.
Oh,
Doesn't
sorry,
really,
right in behind Nikola Kochi and Ron Paslawski side by side going into Shunzhou, and Nikola Kochi was able to get that position away. P4 now for him. Rob Olnick nearly tried also to get past Roman Paslawski through Shunzhou, but he was a little bit too eager on the throttle, so he has to settle for that 6th place. Still Mikhail ahead. He is in the draft of Michel Tirino, tries to go to the inside of Michel Tirino, but has to brake a little bit earlier. But mistake from him. Side by side now through the second turn, and this might give the advantage to Mikhail. Maybe also over Trangrate will try to do something, but look at the momentum. Michel Tirino is able to carry already through Couvretasol, so we might see a re-overtake from the Frenchman on the Brit. Going to the outside of turn number 4, turns in a little bit too early, has to get off that turn again. That really messes him up. And now there's a gap of about half a second between Mikhail and Michel Tirino.
And Dudion now, as he made that mistake, it's gave Mick a chance to build just a little bit of a gap. And but yeah, on the other hand, again, Dudion's under attack from Norway Trengrade, and we know how feisty Trengrade can be at times, and he likes to be very racy, put it that way.
Let's see if Michel is actually able to go with Mikhail. Mikhail has been up all Saturday pretty much already. For a very long time, has been on the practice servers today, trying to get those last few hundredth or even thousands out of that setup and himself. So we might see Mikhail now getting into his very dominant performance that he always does, as the gap has already built up to about 8/10. In behind, Rob Olenek versus Peter Mikus side by side for 6th place. Rob Olenek rather now also side by side with Roman Paslawski after he made a mistake. Roman Paslawski might lose a 2nd place here very shortly to Peter Mikus as well. But not right now. Let's see if something is happening into Ciudadanos Lagos. Paslawski stays to the left side to cover up from Peter Mikus. And that is working out very nicely for him.
Absolutely, and yep, as these 3 cars are close together, and yeah, oh, bit of contact there, and it looks like Olenek or Pawlowski. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, one of Roman just got a slight bit of exhaust damage there by the looks of it.
So right now at the front we have Mikhail leading Michel Tirino and over Trangrade, and they are being caught by Nikola Kochi, the Italian, putting on quite a form right now. Speaking of him, he makes mistakes through Shunzhou, loses 4/10 right there. That's gonna add up to about another 2/10 when they are going into turn 1. So quite coming to the curse right there, but now over Trangrade side by side with Michel Tirino. Michel Tirino seems to have a slowdown. So that is quite easy, the overtake for over Trangrade going into 2nd place. And with all of that, the gap has opened up to Mikhail by 2.6 seconds.
And I'm looking further back in the pack as well. The battle for the battle for P10 rather, as Dorado and Gary T are battling for what looks like 10th position, and this battle's been going on for a few laps anyway, and these guys have been absolutely close together, but racing each are hard, but also fair.
Racing hard, fair, and especially square right now. Those two are, but also the battle ahead for 6th place between Roman Paslawski and Peter Mikus nearly went into a side-by-side battle through Ferradura, as over Trangrade still leading that back for 2nd place. Michel Tirino and Nikola Kochi on the back of those. One thing we can pretty much say, this pack isn't going to really stretch out for the next few laps. Seems like over Trangrade, after the slowdown from Michel Tirino, is slower than him. So might see a trolley train forming rather soon behind the Norwegian driver, as Rob Olenek, Ron Paslawski and Peter Mikus are also not too far away from the back of over Trangrade, who might Need to defend now, going into turn 1. Michel Tirino looks to the left side, but has to brake earlier than the Norwegian, so nothing is going to happen right there. In behind, also nothing happened between Pawlowski and Mikus, saying that Pawlowski makes a mistake over the curb of turn number 2. Peter Mikus goes past into 6th place as we're on board, looking over the shoulder of Nicola Kochi, right now sitting in 4th place, very nicely behind the French and a Norwegian battle for 2nd place.
Yep, it looked like at one point Olivier was quicker than Michel, but since Olivier's got by Michel, he seems to be slower now. But as Michel goes up the inside, heading up to the hairpin, it looks like he's got the move done, and yep, got the move done up into the 2nd place.
Going through Pinarino now. Michel Tirino very much in that 2nd place. Robert Reynolds, the first car, 1 lap down. He's still crabbing, I think, a little bit from the first lap incident he had. As he now will get caught by the pack for 2nd place. Goes to the very left side of the track. Very easy overtake, but once again Michel Tirino with a big mistake. I think he actually missed a gear this time around, and thus he drops from 2nd to 4th place. Nicola Kochi, now the Italian, on the move for 2nd place, maybe with the Norwegian trying to defend the inside of turn 1. Let's see how that's going to go. Oh, a little bit early on. The downshift for Ovid Trengerate goes a little bit sideways. That really sets him up very badly for turn number 3. So let's see if Nicola Kochi is able to do something. Going into the Ciudad de Lagos down Reta Oposta to go for the 10th time in this race. So only 13 laps remain of this race.
And
there's the mistake from Ovid Trengerate side by side. Nicola Kochi now tries to make that move happen. Very much does so. The number 3 goes into P. Number 2, also Michel Tirino tries to go around the outside of Ferraduro and La Riña, but that's not going to work out because now here also comes Rob Olnick to the inside. This has really kicked off the battles inside this 4-car pack for 2nd place. Rob Olnick and Michel Tirino still side by side exiting Pinarino, but into Bicatapato they have to settle it. But once again a mistake from Michel Tirino around the outside on the marbles, though he's able to hold that position as the next one is left-hand.
And I have to. The battle for P12 is going on at the moment with Bob Tyler and also looks like Marco Kika as well and Alessandro Parigi. And this it looks like basically looks like a 2-car battle, but in hindsight it's a 4-car battle because these cars are relatively close together. And I've been watching this battle in game myself for a few laps, and it's been absolutely fantastic to watch.
Hey, Mick Ledge continues to be dominant at 30.609, fastest lap for him by about 4 or 5 tenths. So he continues to be the man, the myth, the legend. It's the Rich still leading your race here today. Nicola Kochi still is sitting in 2nd place behind him, but already the gap has opened up to about 5.5 seconds between Mick Ledge and 2nd place Nicola Kochi. But the Italian very much right now going for the trolley train. Nicola Kochi a little bit sideways going through La Riña, but keeps it all together ahead of Ovid Trengerate. A little bit interesting how everybody's sliding around Ovid Trengerate, but not the slide master himself.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. And I guess Ovi is kind of decided to try and look after the tyres as well for maybe the closing stage of the race. With the track temperature getting slightly warmer, I believe. But as Kochi runs wide in the final corner and gets a bit sideways on the exit.
Ovid Trengerate very much on the back of the Italian now, nearly going into the grass, both of them. But once again a slide from Nicola Kochi. This opens up the door for Ovid Trengerate. He has to go to the right side. Down the front stretch they go into Curva 1. Ovid Trengerate round the outside. That's not going to work out as he also brakes way too late. They nearly touch going into turn number 2. Ovid Trengerate still side by side. They touch now. Ovid Trengerate nearly gets spun 3 wide for a very short moment. Peter Mikus goes past. Rob Olnick goes from 5th to 2nd in just 1 turn. Ovid Trengerate Still in third, Peter Mikus now challenging him for that third place, but he has settled for right now fourth place. Michel Trino goes to fifth, and Nicola Kochi from second into fifth. He went. Also, it seems like he has quite some damage on his left rear.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that Ovi never flipped over or flipped or rolled over, considering that was it looked like a bit of a big contact possibly. But anyway, both him and Nicola Kochi have managed to keep going and survived that. So maybe they just got away with just a slight wheel to wheel contact.
Very much so. Not sadly though, Nicola Kochi, much left hand damage he has. Really struggling through left hand. I barely can get that car turning. So probably his race is done for today as he makes his way now through the last few corners of this track. There we can see how much he has to put into the left hand. It doesn't look too much, but look at that left-hander, and he loses the count to the right side. So his race is pretty much done. Leclerc, another fastest lap of the race, 2 times faster than the last one he put in. So most definitely he is trying to secure that first place, even if he has some spins or whatnot. He still will be pretty much safe in that lead. Still looking at the battle for second place, Rob Olenek still leading it with Over Tranquil in third, Peter Mikus fourth, and Michel Trino in fifth place. Riding on board with the Frenchman at the back of the pack, you can see Over Tranquil, another mistake. He's starting to really get down to his name. Slide Master goes slideways through turn number 4, and that moves him from third into fifth place.
Yep, and these guys are pretty much slightly being left by themselves as Peter Mikus it looks like he's slightly pulling away from these guys, and Ovi gets sideways in the background a little bit.
Seems like the Norwegian has found that the grip level has dropped on his tires. Now starts to go a little bit slideways through and out of turns. This has obviously also ripped a little bit of a gap into this battle for second place. Peter Mikus and Rob Olenek now separate by about a second, though that gives still some nice draft to the Slovakian.
Indeed, as these two guys are still close together, and McLaren's again proving why he's so good in this car. He's just basically it took him a while to get into the groove and get into a run, but as McLaren is finally in the zone, and he just pulled away from the rest of the pack, and he's got about a 7.8 second gap. And for his lap times I've been looking at as well, he's been lapping in the 130s consistently most of the race so far.
Needed to get a little bit into the race, as you said perfectly there, Ryan. Leclerc, after making the pass on Michel Trino, now about 8 seconds ahead of Rob Olenek, who is still fighting for the second place. Lap 14 out of 22, so only 9 laps to go, if I can count. It's going to be a tough task for Rob Olenek, I would imagine, but Mikus and Michel Trino nearly collide there through Pinarino. But yeah, Ryan, what would you say is struggling Rob Olenek throughout this season, now sitting in second place? What you reckon? How high are his chances of retaining that second place?
I think if he just keeps it cool and just hits his marks and doesn't do anything silly, I think he could keep it. But with this run up the hill and up to the home straight, the slipstream for Mikus and Dudion and also Trengrade, I think it could play into their hands. But if like I say, if Olenek just keeps it cool and keeps it tidy, I think he could hold on to second.
Peter Mikus, also one of the drivers that has been struggling quite a lot after the early part of the season. After all, out of race number 3, he was your official championship leader by about 20 points over Michel Trino. Then the very, very, very dominant streak of Leclerc started. The Slovakian started to struggle himself, lost all the time he had, and suddenly only finds himself in 5th place in the championship. Oh, that was nearly a touch between Rob Olenek and Peter Mikus there. both keep it going in the right direction, though. Will be interesting to see who will be able to finish off this season strong. After all, we are already in the penultimate round of the season. Oh, and then again, nearly a touch, and in behind us a touch between overtrained great Michel Dino. Harmonica, in fact, in very much the prime spot there. Michel Dino got turned a little bit, lost position not only to Triangulate but also to Pawlowski. Now finds himself in 6th place. As the battle for 2nd place still carries on between Rob Olenek and Peter Mikus. Mikus now to the inside. This is going to be the chance for him to get past into 2nd place. He is already pretty much a car length ahead. Is able to not brake as late as Rob Olenek, so he's going to come back on the brakes. Little bit of a mistake from Mikus. Seals the deal on that pass because he was too eager on the inside curves.
Yeah, Mikus has been the closest he's ever been before, and they. Yeah, he could have got the move done into turn 1 possibly, but just made that mistake. But Rob Aldick retained 2nd place, but Mikus is still hounding him. And look in the background, even though he got caught off in an issue with Michel Dunion, Ovi Trengrade closing these guys back down.
Is closing them down, but still 1.5 seconds behind Michel Dunion. Only half a second between himself and 5th place Roman Pawlowski, who is continuing to struggle very much this season. Hasn't found a single time really, I think, not even the podium, unless somebody ahead of him wrecked out. So Roman Pawlowski, probably one of the most disappointing phases in this season.
Indeed, as Pawlowski and Dudion are battling away, and I think Dudion might have some slight rear end damage possibly, or maybe just or slight suspension damage. But from the way I'm looking at it, the car doesn't seem to be handling too bad. As Mick Claridge has got another fastest lap of a 130.345.
Mikus and Olenek continue to battle away through the center S. Let's see how Kurt Adlerstall is able to pass. No, seems like Peter Mikus continues to stay behind. So let's have a look back into P number 12. It's between Bill Tyler and Alessandro Prix. They both are fighting inside the F2 Championship. So this might be a battle that shapes out even more of the F2 Championship.
Absolutely, it looks like Tyler's starting to go up the inside and make the move. Can he get the move done? Parigi leaves just enough room, and nope, Tyler can't get the move. Tyler can't get the move done. As I try and get my words out.
Up ahead of them, that's not too far away. Marco Kika and Gary Thiel fighting for 10th place. So possibly, if these guys are catching them very nicely as they're doing, there might be more points in this battle than they're battling for right now. Both championships use the same point structure. They get awarded the overall points, not the points inside their respective championship.
And Bill Tyler is closing right up under braking behind Parigi now, and if he can get a good exit, he might be able to use that slipstream to his advantage and try and get the run, but it looks like he's not close enough as they come up to the start-finish line, and can't really. I don't think he'll be able to make a move in turn 1.
Just to update you on the top 5 in the F2 Championship, we have Eric Luco winning that right now by about 29 points ahead of David Rossi. Eric Luco is sitting in 14th place. David Rossi not here. Ben Cleave in 3rd place, also not here. And then we have Alessandro Parigi, who's in 4th place right now, trying to overtake for 12th place Bill Tyler. As that is going to happen through the City of Lagos, we're back into the battle for 2nd place.
And in the background as well, it's Ovi Trengrade has definitely closed back down on these guys, and considering his issue with Dudion, he doesn't seem to again. Ove doesn't seem to have that much damage or any damage at all by the looks of it. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be affecting his pace either.
Yeah, you can see on the left side there, right over the wing mirror, you can see a little bit of damage that the gap is there between the bodywork. So Overtrain most definitely has a little bit of damage, but it does seem to not affect him pretty much whatsoever, as he continues to catch these two fighting for second place. Gap between Olenek and Kletch already up to 11.5 seconds. So Rob Olenek ain't gonna catch Nick Kletch anytime soon.
Absolutely not. Not with that gap anyway. So all Mick has to do is just not ease off, but just keep it clearing, just get to the finish, and hopefully I don't jinx him, but he should have this one in the bag by the looks of it. And the closest battle I can see is this battle for second place, and also the battle for P12 is still going on by the looks of it. So that seems to be the closest battles at the moment on track.
Nah, don't worry about that, Ryan. Mikkelec is unchangeable. He's never gonna wreck out in the lead. Overtrain still continuing in 4th place. Let's see if he's able to get something done in this lap. Most definitely seems like Peter Mikus and Olenek are struggling quite hard right now with the tires. Track temperature still continues at 37 degrees Celsius. With clear skies, a little bit interesting that the track temperature hasn't risen today whatsoever.
And yeah, this battle for second place coming across the line, and it looks like I thought Mika's was going to dive up the inside there, but he decides to back out of it, and again, Rob Olenek, putting up a great defensive drive, and not doing anything too silly, just being nice and tidy and just keeping it cool. And it looks like Mikas is trying to get very racy and make a move as soon as possible. And if these two guys get caught up, the person in the box seat is Ove Trengrade, and Trengrade just maybe just sitting back and watching these guys to see what happens.
Right now, we have only 3 retirees in this race trend. Both Nicola Kochi and Sebastian Tixier, respectively, are the 3 cars that have already departed. We can also report that Alessandro Parisi finally was able to get past Bill Tyler for that 12th place. So, Alessandro Parisi continues to try to get as many points back on Eric Lukel as he possibly can. With Trengrade a little bit of a different line than the 2 ahead of him going into Mergulio. There we go. As they now head through Shenzhou for the 20th time. Only 2 more laps to go, 1 across the start-finish line. So the opportunities for Ove Trengrade are starting to run dry.
Absolutely, as they come across the line now, and Peter Mikas has got a great run on Rob Olenek, and but Olenek goes defensive to the inside. Mikas rather tries to go around the outside, and backs out of it because again Olenek defends the inside beautifully, and actually Olenek runs wide on the exit of turn 2, and that gives Mikas a
small touch there between Peter Mikus and Rob Olenek side by side. They go now through Reto Ponsta as Ove Trengrade still continues to just look on, grab some popcorn, buckle up. This is going to be a fight we're going to stay on for the last 2 laps in this race. Ove Trengrade continues to stalk the 2 backs of Peter Mikus and Rob Olenek. Who is going to be victorious in this battle for second place? We shall soon find out. Right now it's still Rob Olenek leading over Peter Mikus. This is United States versus Slovakia versus Norway, if we kind of want to keep up with the Nations Championship as well. Olenek trying to defend that second place of the US the best he can. A little bit of a slide out of Shenzhou. That might give another good run for Peter Mikus. Also, he's very close to the back of the New England driver. Goes to the right side yet again. Can't choose the left side as he's just too much speed going through those boxes. But this might be once again a very nice try for Peter Mikus, though he's just not able to brake late enough to really challenge Rob Olenek, who continues to be one of the strongest forces on the brakes.
And the second, third, and fourth are close together now, and it looks like Mikus has got the run on Olenek, but again, Olenek to the inside to defend his position, and Holy Trengrid again just sitting back. I thought he would have been starting to get a lot more feisty and trying to pick up a couple of positions, or one or two positions at least.
The white flag, by the way, obviously is already in the air because we're on lap number 22. Peter Rob Olenek about 15 seconds behind Mick Kledge, as Peter Mikus tries to go to the inside once again of Esse, but that's not going to happen. Through Pinarino they go for the very last time, as Mick Kledge is coming into Schönzau. We have a few more moments we can stay with these guys, but it seems like nothing is going to happen here, so it's going to be a drag race to the finish for these guys. As give it up for Mick Kledge, who is going to win round number 11 to make it round number 9. He wins here today this season. Mick Kledge, dominant force in this race, dominant force in the season. He is going to continue his clean sweep. Let's have a look back though at Olenek and Mikus' train rate. Seems like they have all spread out a little bit too far to do something over the start-finish line, so they're gonna finish right there, and then Michel Dino going to take home a 5th place, with Ron Paslowski in 6th. But we do have still a battle between Relia and Gary Thiel. Half a second between those two. Relia a little bit struggling up and over the hill after Schönzau, so he's not going to get a run on Gary Thiel for that 11th place. With the last few cars trickling over the start-finish line, GSRC will be quickly back for the post-race show to running down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far, as we will be quickly back after these messages. welcome you all back to the Grand Prix Legends post-race show, streaming into your home on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing eSports Network. As always, the first thing on the agenda for today is announcing Mick Clanch as the unofficial winner of this race, with Rob Olenek 13.765 seconds behind in second place. Though a very impressive run from both him and Peter Mikus, as both gained 4 positions to find themselves on the 2 last steps on the podium. Overturning rate started in 3rd, finishes 4th, with Michel Turino having worse luck than him. He lost in total 3 positions in this race to only find himself in 5th. Rompaslawski in 6th, with André Schumacher. A very quiet race for the number 24 driver here today. He gained 2 positions to find himself in 7th. Rafael Durado in 8th. And Marco Kiko gaining 6 positions to find himself 37.2 seconds in 9th place. Alessandro Parigi, your last driver inside the top 10.
And Gary Teal finishes in 11th, with Joey Aurelia in 12th. 13th was Chris Marikami with Bill Taylor in 14th. 15th was the F2 Championship leader Eric Luco. 16th was Pekka Risto. 17th was Terry Worth. 18th was Dave Cohen. Telmo Amaral in 19th, and rounding out the 20 was Andrew Eng.
Donald Peake finished in 21st position with Robert Reynolds 2 laps down. The last car to finish today, Trent Bus, Nicola Kochi, and Sebastian Tixier all didn't finish. Post-race interviews, as always, we're talking first to our winner, and once again, it is the unchinksable Mick Claridge, who did leave the channel again, and once again, he did leave the channel, so Mick Claridge seems like he doesn't want to talk to me today because of all the jinxing I tried to do on him. Rob Olenek, he is though ready to talk to us. Second place driver, Rob. That was quite the impressive run there in the end to defend that second place.
That was tough. I got really lucky. I don't know if it was 5th or 6th to 2nd in one corner. That was a joke. I couldn't believe it. And I put a few good laps down after that with no one in front of me. It was kind of nice to hit my normal brake markers and stuff without worrying about what the guy in front of you is doing. The end was tough, though. You can't get away if the guy's within your draft here. Like, it just keeps pulling you like I don't know, what is the thing called? A slinky. It's like a slinky. So it's like, I knew it was going to be an amazing battle today because there's a bunch of guys around the same pace. I'm sure there was more back in the field too. But super tough, super fun race. Sweating my rear off right now. And congrats to Mick. He's just on another level right now. He's insanely quick.
Yeah, you can't get away from the guys behind unless you're Mick Cledge, that is. Finishing 13.7 seconds ahead. I don't know, Rob, what would it take to... or rather, let's ask you like this. What track do you think would it take for Mick Cledge to not finish in first place?
Well, the easy one would be normally an oval, but he won that too. Like, it's kind of a crapshoot on those, but I don't know. I'd say Barcelona seems to be one that we got a better shot versus him. Next time we go back there, though, I doubt it'll be the same because he's got more practice in. Who knows? He's good everywhere.
Well, yep, tough luck because it's next week Nürburgring Gesamtstrecke. So how are you looking forward to the toughest track on Earth?
It's a challenge. I love it. Super fun to drive. It's a race versus yourself mostly. You keep it out of trouble. You'll probably do pretty darn well. I bet you get a podium if you just keep it on the track and don't hit anybody. I don't know. I mean, I love going there. It's such a unique track that it's a lot of prep, which kind of stinks for me because I have barely had any practice time this season. I've been way too busy at work, but I got enough time there that I'm pretty sure I'll pick it up quick. I don't even know which layout are we running. Is it normal Nords or one of the biggest one?
I think it
cool.
is the full 24-hour layout, yeah.
That's cool. It's such a there's a big difference between the GP course and the Nords. It makes a difference on your setup. Try and make sure you can still be quick on the GP course. But looking forward to it. I know that's actually one of the tracks where Michelle and Uwe are both incredible, and Mick's got his work cut out for him to beat them. I don't think I'm gonna be up near them. Hopefully fourth though, if I can be the best of the rest. But I don't know.
Well, Rob, very much good luck then for the next race. Some tricky long it is, so that's the full 24-hour layout, including the Mercedes Arena. Though, Rob, thank you very much for talking to us, and congrats once again on your second place finish today.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
That was Rob Olenek talking with us right now. Next up, it is going to be Ryan Walker talking to the man that doesn't want to talk to me because I jinxed him very hard. Or at
Sorry,
least tried.
Yeah, Mick joining us and taking the win in that race. But I have to say, Mick, you seem to struggle in probably the first 2 or 3 laps. But once it looked like you got into a zone and into a rhythm, you managed to pull away and leave the rest of the guys scrapping amongst themselves. How is that race from your perspective?
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was tough at the start, I was actually looking at my throttle inputs when the lights were coming up, just making sure that I had the right amount of throttle for the start, and I was just sort of concentrating on that, keeping one eye on the light to wait for it to go green, and it just happened to be that I used both eyes to look at the throttle inputs, when the lights changed. So I got a crappy start, and I forgot the standard protocol of what you do when you got Michel next to you. Because it hasn't happened for a long time, he hasn't been here and hasn't been on pace for a long time, I'm pretty sure he just came in with no practice today as well. So to be up the front there and to be fighting like that, really, really enjoyed it. But and it's annoying, Ryan, because this car this season, I've sort of worked out that you can't really push it too hard. If you do, you're in all sorts of problems with melting the tyres, so you have to hold back. And that's pretty impossible to do when you're trying to chase someone down. So I was lucky. How he got past me, I just thought to myself, well, I'll just try the same thing, because I honestly did forget what you really should do in turn 1 in Lagos to get round someone, So not too bad once I got out in front. I could cool the tyres down and sort of concentrate on lap times.
Yeah, I seen that you seem to be sliding around a little bit as well. Was that just anything to do with the setup, or is it just was it something to do with the tire presses and the track temperature, or is it just struggling a little bit to get into a groove, or just they let the tires get up to the temperature?
You mean at the start? At the start. I mean, I was on the limit trying to catch Michelle up again, but yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. I was trying to go for it, when I was on my own up front, just to keep my concentration up. So that might be what you were seeing. It didn't seem too bad to me in the car. You do have to slide around a bit on the exits here to get the rear end to come out, to get the car round and down the next straight, So no, it wasn't too bad once I was out in front. But yeah, trying to chase Michelle down, I was on my limit there trying to catch him,
Good stuff. And before we let you go, are you looking forward to the Nürburgring next week? And if so, how do you expect to go? And if I'm correct, you only have to finish in the top 3 or top 4 to technically take the championship, but I could be wrong. But yeah, your thoughts going into next week?
No, I'm sure you're wrong. I'm sure I won it last week. Steph will tell you.
Yeah.
My bad.
Sorry, mate. Mate, I'll tell you, if I can be on the pace of Michelle and Uwe next week, and anyone else who turns up, there's some guys who just turned up on the forum the other day and put in a serious lap time, and was telling us all about that. So yeah, so it all depends what goes on. Nürburgring is by far my worst track. It's just nuts there. What else can you say? And so if I'm on pace and able to fight them too, because those two will be seriously quick, I'll be happy with that.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations again on the win, Mick, and thanks for joining us in the booth. And we look forward to seeing you on track next week.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
That was Mick Klatsch, the winner of this and next week at the Grand Prix. Rather at the Nürburgring Nordschleife for the Gesamtstrecke along that will be same time as today, 3:30 p.m. Central European Summer Time or 1:30 p.m. GMT if you want to sign up next week. As always though, GSRC would like to thank the iRacing Esports Network for having us on their talent lineup to bring you the greatest shows in iRacing into your home. Make sure to like and subscribe to their channel if you haven't done so yet. On top of that, we'd like to thank everyone on track today for a great show and especially the Rose 49 community for contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Right now on your screen you can see all the companies that provide us with their great hardware and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, Twitter with at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, on Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down in your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Sean, Ryan, and Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Mick Klatsch took away the victory here in virtual Interlagos. With that said, until next time, servus and sayonara, and as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.